Hello, Facebook. So I wanted to do a quick video this Sunday to talk about an issue that's very important to me, and that is the intersection of faith and politics. I'm standing out in front of my church right now, and I'm reminded of a video that I saw yesterday where a group of leftist activists were burning Bibles. And I wanted to talk a little bit about my reactions to that, and the way in which politics and faith have become so intertwined in this country, have been intertwined in forever, really. And the two have always really been intertwined, but there are ways in which the two have become intertwined in very destructive ways for both sides. So I am a political leftist. I am a libertarian socialist, which for those of you who don't know what that means, it essentially just means that I believe in direct democracy as a rule, and I think that we should be moving in that direction, both in our society and also in our economics. I believe in giving folks a voice and a vote in anything that affects them personally, and I believe in voluntary arrangements between people that are mutually beneficial, both in our economy and in our society. I'm also very communitarian. And I get that not from my politics, but from my faith. I am a theologically conservative evangelical Christian. So for those of you who don't know what that means, it means that I believe wholeheartedly in the Bible, and that every word of the Bible is the word of God. It's okay if you don't believe that. As far as politics go now, as far as my faith goes, I would love to talk with you about that, but I'm not running to be pastor in chief. I am running to represent every person in this district, whether you believe in faith or don't believe in faith, whether you're anti-faith or pro-faith, and whatever your faith might be, if any. I want to represent you and be your voice at the State House. Unfortunately, in this country, in many cases, my particular faith, my evangelical Christian faith, has in some ways been treated as if it's a wholly owned subsidiary of one political party, namely the Republican Party. And so Republicans, friends of mine even, sometimes question my faith over my politics. Now, on the flip side, I have friends who share my political beliefs, my leftist political beliefs, who question my sanity over my faith. And I don't feel like the two are mutually exclusive. In fact, I think they're quite complementary, and we can talk more about ways in which that's true, but the important thing for me is to say that I love everyone and want to be a bridge in these warring camps, not to join hands and sing Kumbaya with people who might hate you, but to try to hold up, to put down the weapons and to hold up a mirror to ourselves. So I started this by saying I wanted to give some thoughts about the leftist activists who were burning Bibles. And first off, I want to say that burning a Bible is a constitutionally protected act. It's an act of expression, and it's protected under the First Amendment. They weren't violating any laws by doing what they did, and I defend the idea that they should be able to do that, they should be able to express themselves in that way. I think that what motivates them doing that is often what I've personally encountered in churches in my life, which is that folks are sometimes hypocritical. people who profess to be Christians don't actually act like Christians. I have never found that to be a reason to abandon my faith, because people are sinful. But I understand that my experience with that corruption has not been to the level that some others have experienced it. And I've encountered just in this brief campaign some folks that have found it very jarring for me to be openly saying I'm an evangelical Christian, a conservative evangelical Christian, and also a leftist. Folks on the left who have been hurt by people in the church and deeply hurt in ways that are difficult even for them to express. And it hurts my heart to know that that's the case, that people who profess to be Christians would treat someone in that way. The reality is that when we give people too much power, in any case, whether it's in a church or in a government or in a business, people tend to exploit that power. And there's the old saying that power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. So I believe wholeheartedly that we should be moving in a more egalitarian way and not giving people that kind of power. That's why I believe in democracy in the first place. It's not because I think people are good inherently. It's because I think that we're not good inherently, and no single one of us should have too much power over another. So I think that folks who are on the left should hold up a mirror to ourselves and say, in what ways are we trying to reach out to people who are reachable? And I see many people in conservative evangelical churches who are reachable on political issues if we talk to them in the right way. If instead of burning a Bible, we open that Bible and expose them to parts of that Bible that might contradict their economic philosophy, that might contradict their war policy philosophy. At the same time, people within the church need to hold up a mirror to ourselves and say, in what ways have we been hypocritical? In what ways have we made idols out of politics and thought more about our political beliefs or our political parties over and above our faith and over and above, in my case, Jesus Christ? Those teachings of Jesus Christ need to be central in everything that we do as faithful people. And I'm afraid that there are ways in which, again, so many on the political right have made it seem as if you have to be of a certain political persuasion or even belong to a certain political party in order to be a Christian. And you can see how that might drive people away from the faith. So again, I want to close by saying that I don't want this to seem as if I'm preaching at any particular person. I am not in that role. I did, in fact, go to seminary for 3 semesters at the Southern Baptist Theological Seminary. I thought about being a minister, being a missionary, but I decided to stick with my political science degree and to do missions in another way, to try to help people right here in the material world, even as I understand that the ultimate thing that we need to be doing as Christians is to be concerned about their spiritual journey, but we shouldn't neglect the fact that people are really hurting materially right now. And so, again, I want to close in saying that we all fall short. And right here you can see an example of the way to be when we fall short. Behind me is a statue of the prodigal son. The prodigal son, in fact, is in front of me. Right behind me there is the father in that story. And in that story, the son has a experience where he falls deeply short of where he should be as a person. He gets involved in some serious sins and feels that there's no way back from that. But the father welcomes him. And you can see the son here just cowering in fear that his father is not going to take him back. But his father is very welcoming. And so, I want to close by saying I want to be that kind of welcoming person. And I want us all to try to be that kind of welcoming person. I wrote an article about this a while back, which exposes sort of the power of the politics of love, and recognizing that whether we're on the left or the right or somewhere in the middle or a combination of the two, because so many cases we have eclectic views that don't easily pigeonhole into one thing or another. I wanted to say that it's important for us to recognize that the people on the bottom, the regular people like us, working families, middle income folks, people on the margins of society, in poverty, we're just struggling to survive. And we may not have it all figured out. None of us do. And our politics may not mesh perfectly well with each other, but we need to help each other. We live in a society, and that's what being in society is all about. It's about helping each other. And in the midst of a pandemic, we know that regardless of politics, we're all struggling, and we need desperately to recognize that the people who are enemies in a real sense to the great mass of people at the bottom are not other people at the bottom, whether we may have differences of opinion or views. It's not to say that we shouldn't hold those differences. It's not to say that we shouldn't try to persuade each other, but we should do so in love, because the people at the top, elites at the top in both political parties and of no political party, try to divide us up because that's how they maintain power. And I don't want power and control. I want to help people. That's why I'm running for office. I want to give people an opportunity to have their own voice heard and have an economic situation that works for everyone and not just a few people at the top. It's the people at the top that are dividing us. The people in the bottom need to band together and stand together and stand against the divisions that have caused so much turmoil in this country. So I stand with my leftist friends out in the streets, and I've been out there myself, fighting against oppression, fighting against racism, fighting against intolerance. But I also stand with my Christian brothers and sisters, and I want them to know that if you, like me, want to see social justice in this world, not just in the next, you should join with us out there in the streets and make your voice heard. You should come alongside those who are experiencing oppression and lift them up and create a society that doesn't involve oppressing others economically, racially, spiritually. Let's build this society together. Thank you.